You know, Potter, I gotta say, I think your dog had a bit of a precog moment, almost like a Lassie-esque moment. We heard that barking in the pregame, and it was as we were talking about what to expect for Envy, and clearly the dog knew what we didn't, that Envy had fallen down a well and was desperately needing our help. Unfortunately, no help came as Gen.G just bodied Envy in map 1.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of to the help of Sean, right? We highlighted the fact that his Phoenix was a little bit lackluster. He wasn't winning quite the duels that we expect out of a player with the caliber that Sean has showcased here in the past several weeks. But man, the Battle Sage coming to play on the Icebox. We expected that Raze to be his agent of choice, but the Sage, it was just as good. The way he was controlling that entire kitchen area. And I gotta say, usually with Sages, you know, it's a little bit more passive. It's a little bit more setting up your team. But Sean, he was involved in majority of the duels, especially in that first half on the defensive side. I mean, 3 out of 5 first kills or first deaths for this man. He was pivotal in having such a strong start. 10-2, you can't really ask for more than that.
Yeah, you know, Vansili, looking at that Sageless composition that we thought we were going to see potentially, Gen.G throws things for a bit of a switch by bringing Sage into the composition, whereas we don't see one from Envy. Was that potentially a deciding factor?
100%. I think it's night and day in a defense that you saw for Gen.G, because not only do you see Sean switching to Sage, but you also have Kusta that switched from Cypher to Killjoy. And that ultimate was very helpful for the team overall for Gen.G. And how it helped win those rounds to have such a dominant 10-2 half was due to the fact that I did mention Phoenix for food. He's going to have to be the one that's going to be the key player for Envy in their execution, in the plants. How many times has he set foot deep into the A or B site? I could count it on my fingers. There wasn't that many. So they were doing a great job with this composition to stop food from getting the ults and from getting those curveballs deep into the site.
Yeah, there's just one thing I want to add on top of that, Bach. It was pretty crazy. I love the way Gen.G played, and they played as a complete team this time around compared to the second half of the last map, right? It was like they were funneling Envy to go to A because they would take Win and put him over to B with the op, and because they were just snowballing all over Envy, he had the money to do it. They cannot go to B, so when they tried to get mid control, you had GMD and Win rotating over, racking up kills there as well. So it was like Envy never really had a real chance at this because Gen.G was that much better.
You mentioned the team play. We'll take a look as well to see how the teams stacked up against each other instead of just focusing specifically on the individual players. This looks very similar to the last map. Not quite the same. 13 rounds, obviously, for Gen.G. 12.7k to 9.9k damage. That's very similar to what we saw in map 1, flipped around, obviously, with Envy doing the bulk of the damage. Headshot percentage is a little bit lower for both teams. Frag wins higher for Gen.G, but higher for Envy as well in comparison to what Gen.G had on map 1 and their loss. But the objective wins. It was clear that Envy was struggling in that category. Vansili, was that part of the problem as well, like struggling to maintain site control or even get back in? I know looking at round 9 specifically, they had a very tough B take as they were trying to get that spike down. What happened?
Well, that's what I'm saying. When you don't have food that's able to do the curveball to push into the sites, then you allow players to still try to work it from long range. And what happened, they actually didn't have food try to go plant because he was in a run it back. He gets canceled by Killjoy, by Kusta at yellow. And at the same time, you now have Crashies that's trying to come into plant. While he plants, what happens? He gets wallbanged. Another person tries to come in for a plant, he gets wallbanged as well because there was no map control for Envy from how good the defense was for Gen.G and not allowing Envy to move in. I think they played this perfectly with the composition that they had on the defense for this Gen.G side.
Speaking of that composition as well, Potter, are you concerned potentially that Envy is going to have to switch things up? I know coming into this, they had really great luck. Or I shouldn't say luck, they had good results under this composition. But maybe that's coming to an end and they're going to have to make a change as they match up against teams who are a little bit more versatile.
I think that's one of the great things about having about Envy, right? And having an in-game leader like FNS, they kind of have the luxury to be able to play around with whatever their strengths are. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do pivot a little bit about this Icebox, but going over to Bind, I mean, I think it'll be business as usual. We'll see a very similar composition. And speaking of those compositions, I gotta shout out Kusta, Killjoy. We don't see him on Killjoy very often, but the way he honed in on that, he's no longer just a one-trick Cypher. He had a spectacular play on this Killjoy on Icebox, but we're definitely gonna see him switch back to Cypher for Bind.
You know, you mentioned that Bind being our third and final map. We'll go ahead and take a look at the maps in general that have been selected for the series. We started things off on Haven before we moved over to the frozen tundra of Icebox, and that's what resulted in that cooldown period for Envy. Now they're moving back over to Bind, a map that they have played pretty regularly since this roster was created, going all the way back to the summer under a different name. Obviously, they saw a switch up of some of the players with Calypso and Akis moving out and Food and Crashies coming in. Do we think that Envy will pick things up here, Veli, and kind of pick up where they left off on Haven? Or should we expect to see Gen.G continue in form with what they did on Icebox?
I'm going to be completely honest with the beatdown that Gen.G just gave Envy. I mean, I don't know why I'm still rooting for Envy after that, but still. I like how Envy plays Bind. They have a 3-man setup on B that's just absolutely dangerous. They get Food and Crashies together all around this map, actually. And this is really where you're going to see Food and Crashies shine as a duo since back at their T1 days. So coming into this map, I want to see Gen.G continue to play as a team. As long as Win is consistent with that op play, I think that he's going to be able to overpower Mummy and make this a good game for Gen.G.
One thing to add real quick, though, Gen.G only has a 37% attack win rate on this map. So they haven't been that strong on the attack with the compositions that they've tried things out. And what changed the most was Mikael. They were trying him on Sova. They tried him on Sky. There was rounds where him playing there, it wasn't working out. I think Envy still has this.
Well, we do have the caster standing by. We'll see if you guys are right, as Envy's going to end up taking this third final map and forcing it to a 2-1 victory for their side. Let's take a look. Take it away.
It is time for map 3. Myself and DDK ready to bring you the action. Dan, how you feeling about map 3? You already said you didn't think we'd be here. What are you feeling about how things might start off?
It's tough, man. It's definitely tough. I mean, we've been saying this all the time. It's a tough matchup. They're underdogs. We know that Envy are on paper looking fantastic. Bind has been one where, as I mentioned right before we cut to break, I felt like Envy have always been really good on this map. And it's very hard to find openings against their defense. And they are a team that likes to control the entire map when it comes to actually playing their offense as well. So they're very difficult to read compared to some teams. And on that side of things, with Gen.G, maybe to the point that Vinsoli was making in terms of the attack, will we see a Sky? Okay. In terms of the attack here, it tends to be a bit more dominant on one side of the map and leaving Kusta kind of lurking by himself. And that's something that is a lot more readable, a lot more exploitable. So Envy, it just feels like there's a lot more strings to their bow in this one. And for Gen.G, they're going to need to show new things to be able to take this one against Envy. There has to be something new, because what they've been doing on paper shouldn't work out.
Yeah, very true. Looks like we're about to get onto the map right soon. Bind is going to be your third and final here for your first of the VALORANT Masters matchups. And Gen.G obviously putting up such a great showing already. I think there were 2 or 3 fraggers on Icebox with 15 frags last game for Gen.G. So they were feeling it. Everybody participating in this. It wasn't just somebody carrying. And that's what you love to see.
One thing we didn't mention actually as well is that we're seeing that Win is on Sage. And so, and there is a universe as well where we would maybe have seen Sky instead of Sova for Mikael as well. So there's definitely some things that have been happening. So in terms of seeing something new, really curious with the composition, what exactly Gen.G will be up to. But as we go into this pistol, we can see off the bat already super aggressive play up short A here. And you can see them, they're not going too deep just yet. There's 3 of them, but they want to make sure that they don't run into a setup, and they know it's going to be B, and they've got position. Everyone knows what's going on right now, Rick.
Yeah, the retake cam is already there. Envy getting the slight push up, but then the teleport in as Kusta's just waiting there near Spices, and he's able to take one down. So now Envy realizes we were behind them, but now we're being pinched on defense, so we got to get back to our own side. I like the push up here coming in as well, though, from Envy. We do see that Caboose could make a big impact on this round if they decide to come back over to the B or A site. If nothing goes down here, a lot of patience here. Probably going to be hitting that 25-second site take.
Yeah, Gen.G are in kind of a spot where they can't not do this play right now, and I think Envy knows it, and they're moving in for that play. The ball's going to go up for for elbow, but it's actually going to make it up there. And great defense from Cubby from Food for the double, which will leave things not in the best of places because the spike needs to be planted. There's not much time to go down. It's going to have to be planted in the tube. That's going to force Caboose to drop the paint shells. That is, oh, there, okay. Boombot not going to land, and Caboose has to take the 1v1s with a frenzy, and Mikhail's there in the nick of time. And Gen.G, they really had their backs against the wall there for quite a while, Riv. I mean, you have to credit them because I think they knew that Envy knew exactly what they were doing, and they had no time, and still they managed to find their way out of that difficult position.
Hey, it's a perfect call, right? As soon as Envy pushes up and they kind of saw that nobody was towards shower, okay, Gen.G's all over at B. How do we work this? And honestly, they work some magic to make that happen. Let's see where the alts are going around. Mikhail coming up 3 of 7 already, and a nice round for him is Food. Always making sure he can rush to those orbs. We'll see if he gets himself another one. They do focus the shower orb right away. It looks like Caboose tried to grab that. He could have gotten out with it, but they did fire back. Kusta heard that just on the last moment of trying to get the orb. Spike's down, though, for Gen.G right now, so all of this is just a util grab. Patience to see what the eco round from Envy will bring.
And you can see that Envy are actually gamble stacking towards B. They don't really have info right now, but they're making some guesses. And it might be because they figured out that there was Kusta playing the A side of the map, which again, characteristic of Gen.G's attack. Kusta's going to be the lurk by himself. So that's going to telegraph quite a lot. And so Envy are right with this stack. However, a teleporter play could be in order possibly here, depending on how well this entry goes. And it is some trays off the bat, but they have to back away. They didn't get the ground. They may have to reset this.
Yeah, that especially with nobody coming through hookah, it makes it a little tougher. You just have to fully commit if you're going to, and when it doesn't work right away, there's a pause. You don't have a secondary to think about coming from hookah. So here, that finally steps into play. They feel a little more comfortable. Sean's going to be the sentry here with 10 HP. If he goes down, somebody possibly trade. What a shot there! Does pick one up at FNS and Crash. He answers back right away before that kill can come through. And it is just a swarm of Envy members on the eco. Not even the buys, just coming in with the classics, a little bit of cheese on top, and they pick that one up for themselves.
Indeed, it's going to be really interesting to see what comes back out of Gen.G, though. Obviously, there's not really much in the way of money, but it always sucks when you lose that first round and not really feeling like you can force buy back and keep the pressure on. And especially, you know, now that the Stingers and Frenzies have sort of gone out of meta at least as much as it was in a previous patch, it looks like we'll see Gen.G erring on the side of caution, just playing for the economy, looking to perhaps pick up an orb here, maybe win a frag and pick up a gun. That's a good initial way to start things off in terms of goal setting. And a great split comes through here from Gen.G. The work showers and U-Haul at the same time. And actually looking a little bit stretched here on the defense, but onto things fairly well. 3 versus 2 though now for Gen.G. Just as I say that, Finesse loses backside position, and that changes everything with the wall that Sean placed up. This is feeling awkward now.
3 seconds for the sonar. They get a little bit of intel off of that owl drone. Oh, a little duck and chuck there as he tries to put a curveball around the corner. They get pinged out. Again, it's pausing what they want to do. Sonar dart right over the top. Locked and loaded. It's going to be Food and Crash. He's trying to make this play. The combo that came to Envy. Can they make it happen? Oh, the double, the triple for Food. Disgusting as he cleans his plate. And Envy comes up with another one. They're going in on ecos, but they just make it look so clean and hit it with such impact.
Oh, that's huge. That's a big sigh of relief, I think, here for Envy. Food, as you say, like really coming out with just a ridiculously strong play here. That one curveball, so much money made from that one. They did not look like they were going to recover it. And that was pretty much a full save coming through from Gen.G. So that's very encouraging, especially if you're a Gen.G fan and their chances to make something happen with very little. What's going to happen when they have the full guns. But with that said, in terms of talking about the full buy here, we can see Mummy is on the operator. So I'm curious to see if he's going to try to roam with this or how that's going to come into play. But for now, he's playing fairly safe, I think, on top of the APC. And that's kind of a dangerous angle. But Sean, some spray through the smoke, calling it. They realize that the orb plays have been coming out, and there's a punish.
That's a good point, especially when we get this many rounds in, or it's honestly only 4. But as the frags come out, you're getting close. One orb can make a difference if you're defusing, if you're planning, and getting a few kills. Still a lot of time left in this round 4. Hello. Kale finds something he does not want to fight against just yet. And Mummy with the operator here. He's trying to make a big impact on these next rounds, but he is now close quarters. Doesn't mean he's going down. It just becomes a little tougher if he can get the pick down. There's one, takes a shot to the back, and it's just the angle Food has that he is, GMD has that he's able to take one down.
There comes the curveball right at the flash. Food is just unstoppable. Beautiful series of kills yet again coming out massive for Envy. Just in the moment when they need him most, he's there and he's getting every kill that is needed. The trade here on Mummy was so important. Mummy going down as he tries to cross to safety, and Food makes his way forward and just makes it all happen. And again, it was a round where Gen.G looked like they were ahead, and Food, the other issue there as well is that he's charging up these run-it-backs really quickly.
Yeah, that's huge, especially for him. He's feeling good. I mean, we just had the feature on him, right? If we watched that at the beginning of the show, and you may not know this, but history and features about people in a Riot game usually curses. So this is unprecedented. Food is beating the curse right now. He had a feature about him, and he is continuing to own. And it's awesome to see because he right now is just carrying the team along right now. He's the first one to the fights. He's going in. It's not even like his team has a chance to follow up with shots over the shoulder. That's just how aggressive he's playing. The tack pause here as Gen.G figures a few things out. It will be a save for them, it seems, coming in with a few guns in their hands to see if they can at least drop some of that money out of the hands of Envy.
All right, well, it's back to the pistols, and hey, they had a really good rounds on a previous one when these pistols are out, so we'll see if they can do something similar. We do have a different setup from Envy, though. Envy are actually giving up U-Haul control this time around, so they can... They're not going to lose anything by leaving that open, and they can play this setup between Heaven and Showers and make sure that there's no post-plant positioning for them to worry about except U-Haul in short. If the spike even goes down, and it looks like with some of these kills that Envy might be able to deny that. You can see the swing comes out, and that's trying to take the opportunity, but there's opportunities being taken by Gen.G at the same time, finding players with utility in their hands. And once again, there's just something about these pistol rounds where Gen.G are finding opportunities.
Oh, the TP comes in, so they know one Omen and a Razor there, seeing the uplink right quick. And the back. Oh, he's doing the switcheroo. All right, Win. Wall's there, can give himself a little bit of option to play towards sight, but he's now going to be running into 2 rifles. This is not easy. Shoulder peek. Just in time. Cat and mouse game played effectively. And I think he's at least got himself to the plant. Is that a nade over the wall? Paint shells. Here he comes. Take care. See you later. $300 going into the hands of Quinn and Gen.G. And that right there is a reason to bring Raze to bind every time.
Yeah, definitely. It's just Raze is just such a good agent. Just the satchels and the movement possibilities, just at a drop of a hat. There's just so much you can do. And well, it's going to be 4-1 up for Envy. It's kind of crazy because if Gen.G, this could be the other way around. If not for Food's clutches, this would probably be the other way around. So with that said, Gen.G hopefully are not losing too much confidence or steam here. And we can see that the economy is not perfect for Envy. It just really takes a couple rounds here for Gen.G to really take momentum away. And they're off on the 4-buy once again. So it's cool seeing Mummy on that operator on the Omen. It's interesting to see that there's no Jet at all. That's quite refreshing to see. And Gen.G, back to the usual default here. Kusta by himself, towards the Showers side. They're going to hear the trips get put down. Envy, meanwhile, trying to get aggressive. Short B. Forced back by the paint shells, though. So Envy have that early B long control. They can grab the orb. Yeah. And what really counts now is, how do they develop into the mid round? And if Envy want to try to make a push before they make the move first.
Here, watching Mummy again. I love that point about the op. He is super versatile in the weapons that he can use and still be incredibly effective. You see him on split, then switching to the Jet here. He's on the Omen. He's got the operator, and he's locking down B. Might see him for a second. Oh, Daddy-O, where's he gonna teleport to? Can't make it just yet on the tail end. Hunter's Fury's gonna miss. And Gen.G is trying to make their way in still. They have lost one member here. Envy still 4 ultimates to defend this site.
Kusta lurking back up short B here. Might catch the player out of the TP, and indeed, Crashies goes down. That's hookah control once again in the hands of Gen.G. Looking fairly good. If they can get the spike planted, they'll be good to go. But it's just about finding the time to do it. And you can see Food lurking around Garden's going to be able to deal with Sean. So now, if it was difficult before, it's even more difficult now. Maybe even starting to feel impossible. Spike may have to be planted in the tube here. Kusta's having to come out of hookah so he can assist his teammate. That's not a good sign. Here's the TP as well, so there's additional pressure on the flank. There's so much to worry about here for Gen.G. So somehow though, Kusta able to take down Food as the challenge comes through. There's the showstopper out from Caboose, out from hookah. It's taken down. My God! Queen Mons able to find the double. That's unbelievable considering that the showstopper was on its way. It all looked guaranteed for Envy, but Gen.G holding on by the skin of their teeth to keep this game alive.
Oh, that's that situation where you just say, I gotta do what I gotta do. If that rocket's coming towards me, so be it. Kind of just choosing the moment to fire. And yeah, you're right. The double kill there coming out. Everybody cleaning up what they needed to on that. And Gen.G, a very much needed round in what would have been a really hard third buy on maybe 2,400. Now they're able to have a bit for themselves. They come into round 7 with a bit more confidence. Sean rocking the showstopper as he throws out the default Roomba to clear hookah. Looks like a little bit of push here.
It's a good sign too, Riv, because that round was perhaps the most standard a Gen.G default round will look. So that's a good thing that they can somehow make that successful. But look at this space that Caboose has taken here. He's moved up a short, knowing that there's very rarely any presence here. He can get up there for free. So there's a bait setup with a mummy there and possible paranoia. He's going to create lots of problems here. Great setup that the paint shells come out as well. And
no way.
Taking down Win. There's no trade possible. Falling back with the boombot sent out to cover his tracks. There is no way to trade these kills for Gen.G, and they are in a dire position.
I love that point out, the bait you called, because as soon as you hear an op, it instantly draws focus. Oh, we got to take that out first, and nobody remembers to check the corner. What a round for Envy so far. Kusta, though, stepping out of the smoke with a beautiful quick snapshot there as Mummy answers back. He has so far been unstoppable, omnipresent at the B site, now the A site. Does GMD shut him down? Just misses the shot there. Heads himself over, but he gets pinged, so they know now he showers, and GMD does find a target. Food with ultimate there. Run it back is ready, but does he need it? Tags him just a few times. 11 seconds left. He knows he has the pressure.
Couple on the side. Can he find the kill? It's very labored, but Food just barely finds it. Of course he does. Getting everything he wants so far this game. 10 HP. As he taps the spike, he knows someone's Q-haul. The confidence is huge from Food, but this time is simply too much for him, and Mikhail will win the day. And Gen.G, they're coming back now. They are taking momentum away. And you know what, Riv? It's in the most exciting way possible, because off the back of just clutches going either way until eventually it's Gen.G that comes out on top.
Kusta, super big opening, 2 frags there. Everybody on Gen.G participating, and that's what it comes down to, right? When you continue to see people going down on those side takes, everybody else has to step up, and Gen.G's doing a great job of against Envy, who is usually easily trading their 1-for-1 frags positive. So you're right, Gen.G now swinging back hard. We're coming into round 8. It could be all tied up here. We'll see what happens this round. A little bit of love for A with Spike down, so big default to grab a lot of pressure and just make sure the ult orbs are not freely grabbed. That was close.
Yeah, big fight over this ult orb still, and Sean again actually finding the spray through the smoke. Always nice, Gen.G. Though we'll lose Mikhail on the other side of the map towards B long, and that kill's going to be reset, but the res is going to bring back, or rather create a situation where Gen.G are back into a 5 versus 4. However, the ultimates, as they stand, looking pretty good for both teams. Great pick up there from Caboose. Again, the ult orb still there, just sitting up, and the battle over it just continues as Sean gets the trade eventually. 4 versus 3, and with all of that action, Gen.G decide that it is the time to strike here now. So much pressure around Showers. Let's hit that B site.
Audio shot, nicely done by Crashies, playing the site, and it's just a bit faster for GMD. When is he not coming up with 2 back-to-back on these rounds? He's putting so much pressure on Envy right now, but it's going to be Omen v Omen is, I think, what we're going to see first. You have one hiding now. Mikhail in the tub. They're both actually going to go long here. No, switching. They can't figure out what they want to do. They know he's up top. Nice TP out. Keeps himself safe. Ducked inside that dark cover. Oh! There's not much you can do. That's always going to be a risky play there, but I like the fact that Mummy goes for it.
This is really encouraging. I have to say, you know, Envy are a team that have a really, really good defense, and so far Gen.G are going toe-to-toe with them. The Gen.G defaults haven't been too impressive, but it's more about just how they've managed the situations that are happening. Yeah. And on top of that, they all have that clutch factor that's working out for them in the moments that were really important. And again, it feels like way more rounds could have gone their way if not for Food's amazing clutches earlier on. So this has become a game of the clutch, which is, I mean, that's always going to be something that you want to see. And back to Showers control again to start things off here between these two teams. Neither side wants to give this up for free, just jockeying for position. Both teams trying to get more efficient utility usage out of this. You want the other team to commit more than you do. And looks like actually Envy going to give it up for once.
Just a neat little note there. You can see Kusta, he hasn't placed any. Okay, one behind him, so he one-trapped this round, saving a little bit each time, knowing he's not just going to put everything into utility, so they can keep that econ running. You need everything in a very tied game. Control there from Caboose, but he is still found by Michaelis. There's just too much to shoot that raise in the air. Oh my gosh, Mame. Again, another 2 back-to-back, possibly a third, and it is 3 striking true between the eyes of Gen.G. And he is just grossly unstoppable right now.
Yeah, really nice trio of kills to be found. Someone needed to make the difference here. So many trades coming through, and I love what Gen.G did here. You know, they worked around with a faster pace, and with all the Showers control that's happening, what they've been doing is committing defenders early in the round towards Showers positioning, leaving U-Haul typically, and maybe the A site a little bit more open, and then they walked up A short. So they're creating a timing for themselves to move and get more position for free. And even still, because Mummy ultimately comes out with an insane trio of kills, it doesn't matter. But in terms of like what the thinking behind Gen.G's decision, I really loved it. And we're going to see something very different here again.
Oh, what a check. How much can he clean up? Oh my word, the family photo from Gen.G at long as Crashies peeks out and sees everybody. That's going to be a quick reload here for FNS. Good control over B still. Flying through. Oh, baby, that's the distraction shot. Wynn picks it up off his teammate Sean, flying through the site as Mummy cleans up Sean.
This is really interesting here as well, Riv, because we have a Hunter's Fury available, but there's also a showstopper in the hands of Caboose. So, and there's just a lot of possibilities here. Caboose, though, he catches the timing onto Mikhail, trying to reposition. Now it's down to Win. And we know him for playing Jet, basically, just always. And so it's crazy to see him on the Sage, but he's going to pick up an orb. He's going to go for that play onto the A site. He's actually burned a lot of time before getting the spike down, so we have to assume that there can be players already very close now. Yeah. This is going to be very tough for Win to win this one. He has 30 seconds to play with, and it's the dangerous game for MV2 that they don't peak too soon as he's getting baited out. But the action's forced. Win goes for the swing, and the rocket's going to finish him off. The boost forces the action with that rocket, and that's a wrap.
Oh, you know, I gotta love the second nature hand movements and everything. You know, you get a frag, you quick switch a gun, you go to get a safer spot. You're like, maybe I should have just stood still and healed. But he didn't really know how far Raze had gone, right? He could have been all the way up into U-Haul for all he knew. What a play there. A nice try by Win in a tight 2v1. Oh, always fun to watch those. We're 10 in as we hit round 11, 6-4. Envy's starting to pull away just a little bit here and give themselves some padding. And in Envy true form, they're going to be pushing mid immediately. And come on, another twofer to start the round.
That's a great punish. Really nice positioning. Envy, again, trying to capitalize on the fact that short A is often clear at that timing of the round, but not this time. Envy, though, they still have Mummy in position. Will get dealt with, and it's going to be very difficult to gain ground back. You can see it's a desperate effort from Crashies. He didn't want to give up the site. He wanted to try to get something going, knowing how many players that are still left alive. It had to be go big or go home, and unfortunately the Crashies, he went home, as will Finesse, and that will be the end of the round as Gen.G, you know, just great round from them. They really, I mean, I love the idea from Emmy to push short A like that, but the angle from Gen.G, just having Greymond in such a nice position, is the perfect angle to deal with that.
Yeah, and it's kind of been their setup, right? They drop the spike over by Spices or Market, they wait a little bit, and then they'll move up. And it's like, hey, one of these rounds, Envy's gonna be Envy. Let's wait for that and take them out. 6-6, a very big possibility here again. Good fraggers on both teams. No one really being left behind too much. Sean missing out on some ults for sure, being that low on the scoreboard. Could be focusing a bit more, and we'll see if he continues to have a good series like he has been here. His team obviously fragging in front of him, and that's sometimes hard to pick it up if it's not coming to your site. 120 left onto this one, Dan. Lots to happen still, and another just spike drop. Play it out and see where the water's warmest.
Much slower pace here from both teams. Envy not really challenging too hard for showers, kind of giving it up. Gen.G taking control there, a little bit suspicious perhaps as well. GMD asking questions of short A, not seeing anything there either. So we will get a drone coming through from Gen.G up B long to gain info around Garden. So seeing nothing in Garden may suggest that it is a hookah setup. We'll have to see exactly how that information is interpreted. But we'll get pressure up A short here, looking for a reaction. Not very committed from Gen.G just yet. Slowly working their way forward, seeing if they can find a pick. And the action might be forced here. Caboose is going to hold on to this position. This is very dangerous right now, Riv, for Gen.G. They're just kind of stuck behind these choke points. They're taking it very tentatively.
Great little satchel up from Caboose to keep himself alive. That was a very touch and go fight to showers. HP is just being dropped everywhere. Sean still finds a shot. That's what he's been looking for. And a big entry into the A site. Peeks towards that. They can't see anything towards that CT or that spawn entry for defenders. 10 seconds on the plant. And he's going to easily get that down. A bit of utility to be used. 2 more ultimates here if they could get a res somewhere around the map. And a nice shot by Crashies to open it up. They have full health coming in with 3. This looks very possible for Envy.
Yeah, recon dart available as well. There comes the TP from Mummy as well. Get some extra info. Sean with a nice peek and finds a second head as well. And Gen.G, beautiful hold right at the end. And you know what? I have to say, there was something that happened on the map. I think it was GMD that TP'd. Oh, no, sorry. There was a TP back B which kept the defenders there, and that bought so much time to just take the A site, and it forced the defenders to play retake. It forced Emmy just go for the retake here, and that bought so much time to set up in the 3v3 that it allowed Gen.G just better fights. So really well done to just keep the rotation at bay for as long as possible by Gen.G.
And depending on how you're playing it, right, there's that period of time in the last few rounds when, especially in a game this tight, when you get a faster rotation. The other teams are saying, oh, okay, they're going there. Quick, we got to get there. And that's, as you're saying, you play that little fake that you haven't been doing or setting a precedent to. 6-6. That's what we've been wanting out of this game. And again, Gen.G showing they do belong here in the top 8 of VALORANT Masters North America as they take on #1 seed Envy in our first best of 3 series. We're on map 3 and we're on second half. Frenzies, ghosts alike across the board. And it looks like it is going to be a tentative B for now with a quick audible being called here. Oh, they're just going for runaway step sound, seeing if anybody's close enough. That's exactly what that play was. And they're still going to keep it here towards B.
Yeah, it's always good to just cut the noise because it does create a situation where the opponents might try to do something. They are starved of info, so they might go get it. But here comes the play straight through. Challenges in through Garden, and it's looking pretty good to start things off with for Gen.G, getting some of those key opening kills. And it's not looking like any ground is going here to Envy as they try to take control of the site. They are getting gunned down left, right, and center. No trades at all. And Gen.G going from strength to strength. Again, it's kind of blowing my mind right now, Riv. The fact that the first half could have been way more rounds for Gen.G, if not for Foods having 2 insane clutches, and yet still Gen.G 7-6 up going into the second half. Once again, we start to wonder, you know, that whole story about Gen.G. Are they a team that can close these games? Because it would be an insane upset for them to get off the bat in Masters 1 if they were able to do that.
Absolutely. And the confidence it would give them moving forward to say all the practice we've put in, everything we've trained against Envy, against these teams, is a success, right? That gives us the advantage, and you know you can work off of that. That's kind of one of the best wins that you learn from. They say you learn from the loss, but when you get a win this big, it solidifies a lot for the team and the organization. Gen.G looking great here as we start off round 2 of the second half, feeling good with Spectres, and they don't want to give up any free angles to a quick classic headshot here. So they're playing it safe with util until NV presents themselves.
Just some poking and prodding once again. And we're seeing if anything will be given, but Gen.G 2 experience to allow for that to happen, and just playing the size, playing default positions, just forcing NV to have to come to them. And given that the weaponry advantage is with Gen.G, the only way that that disadvantage can be mitigated for NV is by using the numbers and swarming the site and using that speed of approach.
We're pushing the Navi strat here, Dan. Bring it down to 15 seconds.
Maybe it'll work out, though, because they are managing to get forward onto the side here. Miguel, can he stop the plant? He can. That's a big move, but still, Food is left alive. He can only do so much, though, with that help in the frenzy. And Gen.G convert the anti-eco. So into the first buy round now, and this is where the some of the questions, the big questions, will be answered.
This was where that first gun round where we did see Icebox take off for Gen.G. They were able to figure out what the deal was. They brought it 10-2, and this time they have the first 2. So more power to them. They're riding that momentum, and it looks like they're coming into this one big on bonus. Ares, Spectre, a few buckies. They're feeling nice and lucky as they come into this round 15. And where's it going to be? Win wants to get up close. An early wall so they don't have to worry about too much. I like doing that. Take a few things off your plate. Allow your focus to be with someone else. Power in numbers, as I always say. And a quick wall allow you to do that to start things off.
And NV, you know, we talked about previously, they're a team that can pressure everything, and that's something that they will go to sometimes. And it does make things a little bit scary, because it means that there's a lot more options that they can go to. So you never quite, it's hard to place them on something. And so everything carries risk. Any information play you might make, if you're pushing the extremities of defenders, you never know what's going to be happening there. So we'll see now in the mid round that NV are coming into this A split. And the majority of the defense here for Gen.G is around short. So we'll see if they can hold on to this against what is about to come their way.
The preparation comms are out. There was a nice dart from Gen.G down B long, so they know a lot of this hit's coming towards A, but how ready is that aim? Envy coming up big. Shots from Gen.G. GMD comes up, and he says, yeah, there's 2 here. I'm staying safe. Please come to give the assistance. They push him right out of there. You have to take control of the U-Haul area if you're going to make that work for yourself. And a quick TP causes a little chaos this round, Dan. The 2v2, Phoenix Sova versus Sova Cypher.
Yeah, and Food has run it back available, so that there is definitely a lot of scary things.
Oh.
Well, you know what, Crashies, he might just make this very anticlimactic. That's a very strong showing right off the bat. He's not done. He's going to take down Mikhail as well. I was about to get things up for a 2v2. We got the run it back. We got that post-plant positioning, but you know what? If you can just win it with a couple quick headshots, so be it. Crashies wins the day.
Yeah, a little disrespectful to run across there without any consideration, really. Kind of just like a duck carnival game. Hey, took them right out. I feel like they could have played that a little better, at least smoked themselves off to get across it. Or they had more time, you know. They did get into the site fast, keeping one watching that spawn area. So, you know, more power to Envy. They're figuring out how to get these rounds back here once they got weapons in hand. And a nice little dart. Oh, a different spot for GMD. Wasn't able to get a quick shot off there, so they do figure out that love for showers is still continuing. And it looks like it may be the play in. Orb's going to get grabbed as they keep it going. The Hunter's Fury is there for Envy. Actually, both sides, so we'll see how this affects the round.
Yeah, I really like the opening defensive setup from Gen.G, but we'll talk more about that later on. The Hunter's Fury is going to come out, and for both teams, it's all over the place. Who is on top after this?
Okay.
Either way, and Food is going to use that space to go forward to get another kill off the run it back, and that's going to create a very, very strong scenario here for Envy. This is a difficult one. They'll have to find something, Gen.G, early on to make an argument for this, but that was the opportunity. If Sean picks something up there, I think they can really consider committing here. And I think saving wouldn't be a bad decision in this spot. But you can see Gen.G are confident. They're seeing if they can get another quick kill. But the longer it takes to get that first kill, the less time you have and the harder it becomes. And a great two-man setup there in U-Haul, that's going to completely shut this down. And there might be a potential that they were going for this Rift because Win had the res available. But at the same time, it's that was always going to be extremely difficult.
Yeah, especially with they kept getting separated on the entry, like you're costing a few seconds here, so it just keeps dwindling. Then you can't res because everybody dies so deep in the site. And it comes up for another round for Envy. Now, I said this for Gen.G. That's what they did the last map. They lost 2 and then won the next 10 on the round, or the half. Is Envy about to put that up now? They are going to be up against Eco of Gen.G, so this should be a decently slow round. We're watching the corners here for Envy. Once they know exactly where Gen.G is, then they execute hard. There's one. FNS finds a kill. He's going to see 2, and Mikhail going to pick himself up a Phantom. We'll see how this continues to work for Gen.G if they can get that gun over to B.
Yeah, the delay here with the wall could actually be quite a problem. Right now, Envy, they actually need to move very quickly with whatever they do because the rotation's coming. And although the guns aren't great here for Gen.G, this is a problem. Really nice setup, though. The frenzy not quite hitting as they needed it to. And so it looks like the danger has been averted for now for Envy, and the spike will go down. So should be good to go. But Mikhail looking to cause some problems. We'll try to do some damage here. Oh, that's tough, isn't it? Never like to see that, especially how wall bangable the walls are around this position. It's pretty impossible here for Mikhail. Looking to find out 1 kill.
Everything of his just getting destroyed immediately. They're not letting him even blink or breathe out of the hookah area. Already smoked out in that situation, so just biding his time, may be able to hit a muzzle flash as it comes towards him. Oh, that's gonna do it. Soon, I like that planning. He's like, what do you think your smoke's gonna drop? Right about now? All right, Dart.
Yeah, exactly.
There he is.
So it looks like Envy are really coming into their own now, finally, but back into another gun round, and this is where they need to be able to prove that's going to be the case here. Is Gen.G have an opportunity now to like really switch something up? This is kind of where when you would expect them to maybe try something else. If they have any particular defensive setups. And already on the defensive setup, they're opting to play 3B and 2 showers, which I think is a really good approach, using the Cypher trips to kind of look after the short A position. But instead now they've got, once again, GMD in the U-Haul position, and they're fighting for showers. So Gen.G starting off the round pretty active. And there is a showstopper here for Sean. If he feels it, if he thinks there's a setup here, there could be an opportunity to use this.
He knows it's a Phantom on the other side, so he's trying to play it. Oh, just do it! No, he gets crashed. He's trying to hide in the corner. Kusta's going to find another one as they're pushing up through that mid area. Nicely done. And will they be able to get a little bit more off of this? Mummy, always good for one to answer back. He's been getting quite a few doubles throughout the rounds. Caboose is in, tagged up by the tripwire. And a nice little stack here coming out of showers is going to try to give Gen.G the advantage. But things have now slowed down with members dropping everywhere.
Yeah, the showers players are really key because they won't have U-Haul control, but if they can have at least 2 places to retake from, that's great. And okay, the wall, it's going to slow them down from it. Well, in fact, it doesn't actually slow them down even at all, I don't think. Not even like a millisecond, so never mind that. But it will be a quick switch up through the TP for that B plant. And it's still a retake situation for Gen.G, but they have worse post-plant positioning, and Envy have more time to gain their own post-plant positioning. So that switch up with the TP is perfect, but still, it's going to be tough.
All right, Rez came through. Gen.G looking a little bit better here with a few heals coming through as well. Cypher, the only one hurt on the side of Envy as Caboose is pushing up, trying to play this smoke. That's behind him, and that's the perfect time to take the chance. Mummy comes out with the paranoia, but it's not going to be enough. Gen.G find the frags that they need, and is it going to be enough time? As long as Win doesn't slip and cut the wrong wire, they're good to go.
Yeah, and indeed, Win able to get the defuse, and 9-9. This is going down to the wire. I feel like out of all the maps we saw, this is the closest we've seen it, and that's just awesome. Both teams buying up, both teams pretty shaky in the economy. Gen.G a little bit more worse for wear in that sense, but looking at the setups here, we're going to see I would imagine something slightly different in terms of pacing around the A site. They still have, you know, Cypher there to like plan all the utility around short A. That's not come out just yet though. But not having the showstopper, obviously, Sean's not going to be looking maybe as aggressively by himself for action around showers. So the typical default from both sides. You could control here for Gen.G as well. Envy slowing the pace down a lot. They're just sitting in position right now and just working showers as they have every round.
I love it. The double util. Camera, oh, camera, sonar. Oh, the spam. How does your face feel? That is interesting to be coming through. Doesn't do too much. Brings him just about to half there. I shouldn't say too much. Does quite a bit. Tears that armor off and does half. So they have to be careful now coming from showers. Probably heard that on the other end. And this wall from Hwin, he tries to play at food so fast on playing those flashes, getting out before they pop or after they pop. Awesome to see each time how much he has honed that skill. And we do have a few ults around the board here. Remember, Gen.G solo ult is up. I'm going to see if Mikhail can use that to an effect to keep the spike from going down right away. Gen.G's been doing good at stalling these rounds to great effect.
Oh, and Mummy, that's a huge TP there, straight towards heaven. I know he's there, Sean with a great double. That's a massive play. Again, Hunter's Fury now coming through from Mikhail, trying to slow things down, and he's going to have a lot to work with. He knows surely the Mummy's coming for him, and he's going to take the fight. Mummy's going to win it, though, sitting in spawn, creating problems. There's chaos everywhere. Crashing in the 1v1 against Kusta on site, and Mummy, again, the X factor in the round with that genius TP. Just finding every single timing makes the difference. Envy 10-9 now off the back of that. And that's going to surely force Gen.G onto a pistol round.
So many good frags coming in back and forth. You think Sean's going to just clean up around? He's been getting the frags now as he's been presented with them. And then on the other side, Envy just has the numbers to clean it up. 4 ults ready as well. I mean, Mummy's 2 out of 7. You don't really need the Omen one. So this could be a lot of rounds strung together if no ults are used here by Envy to take it, where they are using the ultimate from Raze, the showstopper for 1 round, the Sova ultimate to secure another. It becomes difficult, especially when you're pressured into the final rounds.
That was scary. Sitting in the dark cover, trying to catch Mummy, and he actually did. But unfortunately, not quick enough to the frag. 4 versus
Shorty just
5.
under window there.
Yeah.
Creeping around.
Oh, man. We've all fallen to that before.
Yep.
It's good from Envy to just take it slow as they are, because you can see they are slowly but surely wasting time, getting information. They're getting utility exhausted by the opponents as well by just pressuring things. And now finally they arrive onto the A site, looking good for the plant.
Close. FNS able to take down Sean there. A lot of util coming in the correct spot. Showstopper is up for Caboose, but he's going to make it work. Like I said, if they don't have to use too many ults here, it feels pretty good. Caboose does fall. Not a problem as Hwin with the shorty. Transferring over from B Hookah here to see what he can get on any exits. And you don't see too many people exiting here unless you're hunting. I don't think any hunting needs to be done. They're looking to keep all the weapons in their hands here. So Envy coming on to bind, feeling warmed up. Still being pressured super hard by Gen.G, coming off a great Icebox showing that they were able to come out on. Definitely didn't expect to see Icebox as a second map within this best of series, somewhere in it, but maybe first. And we've had both teams winning each other's picks here, so it'll be interesting to see who finalizes this one, as Envy is just 2 away from doing that.
Yeah, signs look really good for them, and the chances are diminishing indeed for Gen.G. But back on the buy-in, I mean, this is always the scary thing when you're on the defense. It's kind of hard to, like, you have to figure out how to throw the wrench into the works of a default, or you just have to play your defense better and tighter and just your setups more appropriately. But often what can happen is, if you're losing these rounds, it could be because the attackers, their default is being successful. So they're denying you information. They're forcing you to have to make really hard decisions. You just have to gamble because you don't have the info. So it makes it really awkward. And Run It Back comes through, and the Hunter's Fury. They're starting this round off very explosively, and Envy dashing any chances before anything could get going with that B approach. Oh, man.
That feels so bad. On you come out with guns hoping to put the pressure on and what will put you against game point, and you lose 2 immediately. It's exactly what you need to do, the type of pressure you need to put on a team to ensure you're winning the round. It can't just come down to spamming through smokes if the initial strat didn't work. Envy looking great this round. They had that set in their mind and they executed right out of the gate. You see, they have 2 more ults left too. So this could easily be a showstopper round 12 if they need it. Gen.G in a 5v3 here, and they are going to go ahead and super save on this one to make sure that utility isn't used and can be brought in the next round as well.
Well, at least that's something. At least there are some guns to carry through to the next round. Right now, we can see that the showstopper is there in the hands of Caboose. That can be used next round. Neural Theft available too for Finesse. So ultimate advantage seems to be with Envy. We'll see. We'll get a better look as to how progress is there for Gen.G in a moment. But for now, it's certainly looking like a very bad situation. And that's it. Just one more round now. Match point, series point for Envy to just put this one to bed. And I'm sure that they really are very eager to do that because it's getting scary out in Bind here for them.
I think this would be a good time to mention that looking at, what is this, Challengers 2? Yes, North America's Challengers 2. Bind for Envy, 7 wins, 0 losses, 100%. 41 round wins, 13 round losses. It's going to be hard to take Envy down on this map, no matter who you are. And damn it, Gen.G's coming real close. 3 rounds away from tying this one up. Everybody on Gen.G fragging across the board. Looks almost perfect. 12, 13, 14, 15. But GMD just has to be that much better with the triple-double. 17, 16, 10. Is it enough, though, Dan? Is it enough? Edge of your seat now for Gen.G fans here in their first round, in this first best of 3. And they got quite a bit of time as this round just started. You said showstoppers up for Raze. Caboose still has that as Sean goes down. Raze diff to start things off.
Oh no. That's the worst thing. Now that full information coming through. Caboose there with the showstopper trying to punish. Big frag from GMD by U-Haul. Kusta as well delivering. That's going to even things up into a 3 versus 3 here. Minute to go and the spike is being planted. There is U-Haul control. The swing comes through from GMD. Oh my god, he's annihilating everybody. Mikhail as well chimes on through and it looks terrible, terrifying for Gen.G at the start of the round. Losing Sean, the neural theft coming through. It can't look much worse than that, but they recover somehow.
Honestly, getting in there as soon as possible, the U-Haul take was pivotal. As soon as you have that back, you're making the opponent sweat, and that's exactly where all the pressure and impact play came from on this round. Doubling up with one coming from spawn there, as you can see, when coming around the corner on Sage, and they're feeling good. A little bit of pressure lifted as a sigh of relief, but there's still a lot of pressure with the last round in favor of Envy here. 2 ults ready. It could be helpful for info grab for Gamond and Kusta. We'll see what happens.
So we can see the spike is dropped outside the market at the moment, so a slower approach for sure by Envy on the attack here. Kusta getting tagged by the cam. That's going to force him back. So it feels like there's more players showers right now than there actually is with the tag there, and I believe they know that they've seen Crashy's presence there as well, but he is alone. So Envy right now, you can see that they've pulled 3 players towards the A side of the map. They're moving towards B at the moment, so they've managed to trick out the rotations to give themselves an advantage attacking into B.
Oh. You're always hoping. You're like, come on, disappear, disappear. Don't have the range. Gets a good scene right away there. Caboose. Loving the Ion Phantom here. He just keeps crushing it. He's going to blast onto the site. They find Winda. They know that Vandal is there as soon as he takes a shot, and that's how Food gets the advantage. Loving the chaos. I said it before. Envy thrives in it, creating that opportunity for them to open up the door through just flying around the site. 12 to 10 here. 5v3 looking grim, Dan, as Gen.G try the retake.
There is a showstopper, and it's going to come through right now. There it is, but it's denied instantly by Food. It's desperate. Coming straight through the dark cover with that one. Can't hope for too much for GMD. He's been amazing so far on Bind, but it's... Oh, no!
Oh, no,
Robbie, I can't believe you've done him like this! Oh, why would you do him like that? Mummy, oh my god, that's the way to finish the game. Envy taking down Gen.G, and what an amazing series as well that we just witnessed. Everyone had Gen.G written off, but they're looking like they're going to be seriously a huge problem for a lot of teams going into Masters 1.
The nail in the coffin, the knife in the omen. That's how they end it. What a 3-map set coming out of Envy there, and Gen.G. I think Gen.G surprising a lot of people here. A lot of people coming in with Envy to take that win, rightfully so, as the first seed. But I think we have a little bit more to see from Gen.G here.
Oh, 100%. I mean, if we look back again on that game of binds, there was a lot of spots where, as we mentioned, the first half, it looked like it was going to be a way bigger half. It was the clutches that saved Envy from getting more destroyed in that first half. So I think Gen.G can look at this game and feel so gutted, like the story repeats itself, that they're unable to kind of close some of these situations against big teams. But with that said, they are looking like they're going from strength to strength. Gen.G is definitely a team that's improving right now, and it's really great to see.
And it was awesome to see them be able to, I'd say they played their own game, but also play to the level of their opponent at times. You recognize what's happening and you say, yeah, we can replicate that. And whenever that happens, you have to do it a little bit better so you can come out on top. We saw that happen from Gen.G. Innovation through all 3 maps was something they were able to work on. And GMD stepping up for the team huge across the board. He's saying his name almost all the time. I think we got a lot of love out of the Omens today and their play. It was some spectacular games to see, and this is just the start of VALORANT Masters.
Yeah, definitely is. There's so much to talk about, and there's a bunch of smart people ready to talk about it. So we'll throw to a break for now. There's more VALORANT action to come, and then you'll be... Oh, actually, it's going straight to the Analyst. I misspoke. So I hope you guys have fun with them. There's always a lot... I mean, there's too much to talk about. What do you guys think?
Chat, first of all, let me apologize. You get to go from 2 beautiful men, DDK and Rib, to me. I can't help it. That's just DNA.
Thank God you just said yourself, because you wasn't going to say that about us.
No.
Exactly,
I mean, honestly,
exactly.
they put me next to you guys, and it's like not even fair. I'm trying my best out here. I get the mustache curls going on. I can only do so much, you know. Genetics.
At least you can grow a
I'm short
mustache,
straw.
man. This has been 3 weeks for me.
That's 3 weeks?
No, I'm just kidding.
I was about to say, I was legit concerned for you for a second.
Are you kidding though, Vansili? Are you kidding? Okay.
Well, we'll leave that for another day, for another conversation.
Looking at that third and final map, things got a lot closer. It started out decent, at least. Like we saw Gen.G pick up the pistol win, and we're like, okay, maybe Gen.G is going to keep doing what they did in that last map, and then Envy comes right on back, wins the eco round, starts chaining some rounds together, but they kept it close throughout the half. It ended up being a pretty close game in general, but then we switch over to the other side, and things kind of flipped around in general. Looking at that second, or that third map, excuse me, Potter, it felt like Envy really relied on individual play, and you're seeing some of that here.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely spot on. And even in this clip right in your screen here, Food, man, this guy cannot be stopped. We've seen it all series long across all 3 maps, right? The curveballs, the space making, the confidence, right? Because in these clenchy moments, especially when you're down numbers, it's not easy always to just be the initiator, be in the forefront, and be in your opponent's faces. But that was Food. He never let go. He never took his foot off the gas pedal, and he absolutely saved Envy in a lot of these crucial moments.
I think, just to add on to it, sorry, Bach, on the other end of the spectrum for Gen.G, I've been calling this team out throughout this whole series in pre-games, in post-games. I'm like, oh, I don't think they have it. I don't think they have it. I still have to commend them. I think they were able to summon the tactical bear, and they put up a very good fight versus Gen.G overall, and their preparation has been very good. For our team on Bind, as I mentioned before, throughout the VCTs, that only has a 37% win rate on the attack on Bind, to still get 6 rounds because of key players in key moments and clutches of GMD, Mikael, and Kusta, they definitely brought it up here for Gen.G to make this a closer game than what I would have expected, on Bind.
You were talking about that win rate. You know, Gen.G just looks better on the attacking side. What was it that was working so well for them on the attacking side, Vansili?
Actually, it's the opposite. They weren't doing so well because they only had 37% on the attacker in terms of win rate, so they weren't doing that well. And I think the reason why is the agent composition again. I think Gen.G, I got to commend them for that too. The way that they changed their composition on every single map and brought in something new that we weren't ready for, and we've seen improvements for it, right? So Quinn, for example, somebody that always plays a Jet on Vine, switched over to a Sage, and that did help for the trade abilities, the healing, the reses actually helped a lot too for Gen.G to make this a close game on Vine.
I think the biggest part about this, Bach, is, all right, so there's this saying when it comes to shooting games, and I feel like if you want to be a professional player, you got to know your ABCs. You always have, you always be cross, and there you go, almost messed up. But the thing is, Kusta and the rest of them, how many clutches did they actually have? And, you know, you have Potter going crazy in the background because every time it seems like GMD was popping off. Potter, yeah. I'm gonna call out. She actually said, you know, what if, you know, Food wasn't getting all those big plays? Like, can you imagine what this match would be? It'd be so close. And me and Viz were like, yo, look at what GMD is doing, actually, all the way back on the Icebox. It seems like a 3K quietly everywhere, right? I feel like even though they lost this game, shout out to them. I know they're going to bring it back in that next game against whether it's XZ or FaZe, but there's one player I really want to see pick it up. And I'm going to call him out because I believe in him. I want to set the stage for that. Sean, the moment he joined Gen.G, Sean was a god. Sean was a standout, okay? It seemed like nobody could stop him. We remember those events. But Sean today was a bit lackluster. You know, we all have off games, but this is Masters now. Sean's going to have to pick it up. I don't expect to see him with an 8-15 scoreline again. I want to see him on top of the leaderboard. I know Gen.G is better than this.
Well, speaking of those leaderboards, we can see how the teams stacked up against each other in that third and final map of the series that Envy was able to take in the end, besting Gen.G and sending them down to the lower bracket and continuing their run in the upper bracket here. It was a 13-10 victory for Envy. The damage much closer here, headshot percentage favoring Gen.G, but you can see just how close this was. And one of the things we watched across the first two maps was less objective wins, almost none, for the team that was losing. Here we have a much more closer affair. Still, though, Gen.G is dragging behind as it did come down to a bit of a brawl with 8 of their round wins coming off the back of just absolute frag outs and picking off the members of Envy. And then looking at the players in general and their performances across the map, you were talking about Sean. You can see where Sean ends up finishing, not really doing all that well. Sure, 185, but that finishes just above Win, who is playing as Sage, which is, again, more of a recent change-up compared to what we've seen Win play on this map in the past. Whereas on the flip side, the player we profiled coming into this series for Envy was Food, and he steps up huge. Vansili, I feel like we hit the nail on the head with Food there. 271 combat score, 21 kills coming into this third and final map.
For sure, and just to add on to Sean a bit, I think that I would like to give him a little bit more credit onto Barn here because, yes, maybe he's not that key fragger that we wanted from Sean, but what was he doing on the attacker side? He was satchel charging so many times into these sites where Food or Crashies, depending on their position, had to like flick every single time to try to take him down, and what does that do? It allows Quinn to move in, it allows GMD to move in and get those trades and to also take control of the map. As Christine mentioned while we were watching these games, Gen.G looked a lot better in these trades. Why? Because Sean not being able to get kills still created a lot of space by forcing himself as Raze with these double satchel charges into the site. So in terms of team play for this team, Gen.G looked really good too.
Yeah, Gen.G did look strong, but at the same point in time, it just felt like things weren't connecting. Potter, are you sold on Win as Sage, or do you want to see things change a little bit again?
You know, that's a tough question. I think I'm sold on it as long as, see, when we mention a team like Envy, we mentioned that Crashies kind of picks up the slack when there's not enough duelists out on the field. Because that is their sole purpose, right? Is to be able to buy that sort of map space, that real estate across the map. But when you're on Sage, there's so many different things you have to consider. Veli mentioned it, the heals, the reses. Your kit kind of inherently makes you play a little bit more passive. So although I'm not fully sold on Quinn, I think it makes sense. The fact that Jet, she's just not as optimal on bind as other agents are. So I think Gen.G, they still need to go back to the drawing board and figure out exactly how they want to tackle it, but really positive signs coming out from this squad.
You mentioned the players sitting at the top. It was Food who we profiled coming into the series, and then you said the backup there could sometimes be Crashies as the alternate option that can kind of pick up the slack. He ended up finishing with 258 ACS, 51 kills, 33 deaths, 21 assists. Slightly better than Food outside of the kill category. Food finished at 53 kills, but we do have Smix standing by and ready with an interview. Take it away, Sue.
I am here with Mummy after a fantastic performance, especially
Wait, did I make
on
sense in the
Vine.
last
Mummy,
last sentence?
y'all were coming into this game as the clear favorites, going up against Gen.G, the number 8 seed. I think a lot of people did predict that y'all would be the ones to take the win, but perhaps not as difficult as the series turned out to be. I'm curious what is going through your head.
Yeah, I mean, we expected to give a nice clean 2-0. We played Haven, which is Gen.G's strongest map. We won it, so we were very confident. We figured our icebox was pretty strong, but they played really well, and they figured out some holes in our attacking side. We didn't really get to defend too much, so it was kind of rough. And then on Bind, we know it's our strong map, and we knew that if we just played our game, we'd be able to take them down. So that's what we did. We played really well and beat them out. It's a great game.
Yeah, you mentioned it yourself. Haven was their map pick. Gen.G obviously loves that map. And conversely, I noticed Haven is the map y'all have played the least since Opens, only twice compared to the other maps. So I'm curious, even though both times you played, you won, were there any nerves about going up against them, or did you have a good idea of what they had planned for y'all?
Yeah, I mean, we played Haven the least, but it's you know, it's our sleeper map, man. Everyone's gonna be careful for that. So we were prepared for them, and we had a great strategy on Haven. We knew what they were gonna do. We knew our game was still strong, even though we played it the least. So we threw it out there, and it worked out for us.
Indeed, and you sort of hinted at it already about Icebox. I'm curious, what was the chat like after that map wrapped up ahead of Bind, knowing that Gen.G wasn't going to make this easy for you guys at all?
You know, it's kind of like we thought our Icebox was going to be much better than that, but they played well. So it's like we can't really like knock ourselves. They played well. Nothing really worked out for us. We didn't really have much depth in the round for us. There was not much working on either side of the map, and you just got to attribute it to them playing well and us not having as many strengths in you know, we didn't have many answers to them. So we just were like, all right, listen, even after getting destroyed on our attacking side, let's just pull it together, try to make it competitive. We brought it back on our defending side. We didn't get as far as we'd like, but we made a run for it, and then we just wrapped it up and we're like, all right, this is our map. We're starting out defending on Bind. Let's just take it to the grave, and that's what we did.
Yeah, you mentioned playing well. Us as viewers got such a treat. That map on Bind, it was so much fun to watch from both of y'all. GEN.G just popping off, and you yourself top fragging with so many important impact plays. Walk us through, because it looked like, well, by far it was the closest map, but also it was going back and forth. What was it like for you to go through it?
You know, I didn't really play well the first two maps. It was kind of just more a spotlight on the duelist side, and I didn't really have much impact. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna wash my hands. Let me come back to the desk. Let me step it up. So that's what I did. You know, I know it's the third map. It's do or die, and I love the pressure. So I performed well, and I know my team is always gonna perform well. So we all just knew that this is it, and we just performed as good as we can perform in that scenario, and that's it.
Awesome. And now with this victory, you are going to be playing either the winner of FaZe or XSET. FaZe is a team you haven't played since December, which means you haven't been playing this new and sort of revamped FaZe that we've seen recently with a little bit more sophisticated aggression. And on the flip side, XSET, you have played in both Challengers 1 and 2. So I'm curious, what are your thoughts on the potential outcome of that series and your thoughts on playing whoever that winner is?
I think FaZe has improved tremendously since we last played them, and since the inception of the roster. I think adding a new coach or whatever they've been doing, they've been playing really well. Baby Beige definitely going to be smeeging on the opposition, so make sure you look for that. I think XZ also, they perform well, and they've improved a lot since we've played them, so it's going to be an interesting match. I think FaZe's aggressive style might be able to disrupt XZ's more passive style and kind of disrupt their pops and disrupt their defaults. And conversely, XZ might be able to play more patient and make FaZe fall into their traps more so. So I think it's gonna be a great match, and whoever we play, either of them, I'm game for both. I enjoy playing XZ, and it's always nice to play FaZe and just see some crazy things happen from Baby Bay and the Overwatch boys. So I'm looking forward to it.
Sounds good, Mummy. Congratulations once again on that victory. Let's head back to the desk with Bach.
Thanks, Mix.
Thank you very much, Smix. I loved hearing Anthony's point of view there as well. Him talking about, you know, their strengths and weaknesses, them coming into that Icebox match, and just talking about what had happened with them coming into that series, their expectations, and how things kind of turned around. I also loved him saying, you know, wash the hands, come back to the series with a fresh mindset, and it appears to have worked, Vansili.
No, definitely. I think now, as I mentioned before, when they were playing Bind on that third map, just before when they were starting to lose some rounds, I think they lost twice on a different composition. That's when you actually had Mame playing as Raze, and it wasn't really paying off for them because the utilities as Raze for the retakes, I feel that you have to play a little bit more face-to-face with the Boombot and also the Pain Shells, at least for retakes, right? But going back to an Omen that allows him to get the high grounds whenever he can with the Shrouded Step, to use the Operator long range to be able to escape. You saw him able to escape a Hunter's Fury from Mikael into the B side with the Operator and still stay alive to help his team win a round. So I think he looks a lot more comfortable playing into that character, into that agent, and overall for Envy to go back to their regular composition just looked a lot more comfortable overall too.
Well, we are going to take a look at our bracket to see how things shape up and where these teams are now moving and shifting around as we get ready to jump into our next series of the day to see who's going to be facing off against the likes of Envy. We just heard him in that post-match interview presented by Verizon as he was talking about whether or not he's going to play against FaZe or XZ and what to expect. Obviously, we've seen them play against XZ a few times, but FaZe more recently has really changed things up. If that ends up happening, that could be a very interesting series, but you can see here Gen.G knocked down into that lower after the big 2-1 victory for Envy. They will be waiting for the loser of the FaZe XZ series. And then on the other side, you've got Envy moving into that upper bracket waiting for the winner. So that could, I think both those games end up being really good. I think regardless of what happens with FaZe XZ, I think the outcomes, whether it's FaZe Gen.G, XZ Gen.G, FaZe Envy, XZ Envy, both series are going to deliver belly.
Bach, let's be completely honest. I know you're being optimistic, but Envy against FaZe Clan will be absolute flames, okay? That's the matchup I would personally love to see. But I'm being completely honest, I feel like Gen.G, I don't know, it's gonna be a coin flip. You'll hear my predictions after the break or whatnot, but either way, Envy against FaZe, and then the thought of even XZ going against Gen.G, even FaZe against Gen.G, it's gonna be fun either way.
I feel like we have the potential for a great matchup, but we have to go into that first match first. It's going to be FaZe versus XZ to see who's going to be moving on to face against Envy and who will be getting dropped down into the lowers to play against Gen.G for their tournament lives. We'll find out who's going to take the series after this break.
Apply now at RedBullCampusClutch.com. Verizon believes everyone deserves the best. That's why we start with 5G from America's most reliable network.
Verizon 5G is next level.
Then give families plans to mix and match, so you only pay for what you need starting at $35.
It's so much more than this, a great network.
And offer the best in entertainment on select unlimited plans, like Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus, as well as Discovery Plus, with a Galaxy S21 plus 5G when you buy one. There's no reason to settle for less than the best. Only from Verizon.